name is Jennifer Honor, and I'm a wife, mother, worship leader, and handcrafter. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about motherhood, faith, DIY, and a little bit of everything. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Make sure to subscribe and also to turn on the notification bell so you can get notified every time that I put out a new video. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience with pre-eclampsia. Pre-eclampsia is basically a condition that you develop during, or you can develop during pregnancy. So it's high blood pressure due to pregnancy. So when I was pregnant with my first daughter, my first pregnancy ever, you know, with your first pregnancy, you do all the research that you can do. You read about everything. When you download the pregnancy apps, you know, the millions of pregnancy apps there are out there, you know, you keep checking every single day. Okay, this week, what's happening, all that stuff. So along the lines, I did come across the word pre-eclampsia. So I kind of had a brief idea of what it was. But of course, nobody goes through their pregnancy, especially the first time, thinking that, you know, there could be a chance of getting this kind of condition, or, you know, diabetic, gestational diabetes or anything like that. You know what I mean? So my pregnancy was pretty great. My first pregnancy was pretty great. Other than the first trimester, you know, experiencing a little bit of nausea and vomiting here and there, but it was very tolerable. After the first trimester, my pregnancy was just amazing. Like, no sicknesses, nothing complicated, like nothing crazy happened, right? So everything was pretty good. And then at 33 weeks, I went to my doctor's appointment, and I think that, yeah, I went to my doctor's appointment, and then, you know, everything was great. Everything was fine. I left. And then they had scheduled an ultrasound for me to go to. So after my doctor's appointment, I went to the ultrasound, and then, you know, they checked the baby and everything was okay. Normally they wouldn't tell me anything about the ultrasound. They'll just send the results to my doctor, and then my doctor would tell me, like, the next time when I see her, oh, baby's growing fine, blah, 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 blah. So this time around, after I went to the ultrasound, I was going to have lunch with my husband. We went to Nando's Peri-Peri, I remember, because it was a pretty significant day. So we went to go have lunch, and then I got a phone call from my doctor's office. And then I didn't pick up, I didn't hear it ring, so I just saw the voicemail. And I listened to it, and I think the nurse, it was hard to hear what she was saying, but she was saying something along the lines of, oh, don't be alarmed, or this is not, you know, don't be too concerned, but we would like for you to come in again, or something like that. So I ended up calling my doctor's office, and they were like, oh yeah, you know, don't be alarmed. We just would like for you to go back to a specialist to go check the baby again, because the baby was, like, I guess not growing as it should, you know. So with me being at 33 weeks, I guess the baby was supposed to be within a certain weight range, but she wasn't. So they were like, yeah, no need to be concerned. We know you're smaller and all that stuff, so it could really not be anything. So just go get the ultrasound done again by, I guess, like a specialist. So they were able to book me an appointment within like 30 minutes, and I went. And when I got there, they checked my blood pressure. They checked my blood pressure, and it was a little elevated, but then the nurse wasn't concerned, because she was like, oh, okay, well, maybe because they had to, like, spontaneously bring me in for another ultrasound, maybe I'm, like, concerned or agitated or whatever, so they'll just check it again before I leave. So, you know, I did the ultrasound again, and the doctor did confirm that my baby is on the smaller side, and, you know, maybe it could be because I am really small, or it could be because the baby is not getting enough nutrients or enough oxygen or something with my placenta and umbilical cord. So we just need to monitor that. So then before I left, they had to check my blood pressure again. And when they checked it, it was still elevated. So the doctor was like, okay, well, let's just give you a blood pressure monitor to take home with you, just to monitor it throughout the day. And then you know, if it's within a certain range, just call us back and let us know. If it's within this range, then you really need to call us or call the emergency room to let them know the numbers you're getting, right? So I was like, okay, sure. At this time, I still didn't really think anything of it. So I went home, I was getting ready, you know, to have my maternity photo shoot the next day. So I went home, I was working on my flower crown, was just fixing all the things I needed fixing. My husband was cooking, getting dinner ready. And, you know, I got really tired because I felt like I was doing a lot trying to prepare for my photo shoot the next day. So I just decided to maybe take a little break and then, you know, lay down. So before I lay down, I was like, hey, let me just check my blood pressure and see how it's doing. So I checked it and it was elevated. It was still high. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but I'm not gonna panic. So I checked it again in like 5 minutes and it was still elevated. So I went to go lay down, and I was laying down, like my heart just started like pounding so hard, like it was palpitating. Not necessarily because I was afraid or anything like that, but I feel like it was just like normal or whatever, but it was just really palpitating. And then I just felt like, I know this was definitely the Holy Spirit. I was like, you know what? I think I need to call the emergency room. Like, me laying down here and resting, I don't think is going to let it go. Let me just call. So I checked my blood pressure again. At this point, I think it was like 168 over like 90 or something like that. I forgot the exact numbers, but it was definitely like up there. So I called the emergency room and told them my numbers, and they were like, oh, okay, well, let me speak to the doctor on call, and then we'll call you back and let you know whether it's coming or not. So, you know, I just let it go, sat around waiting for them to call me back, and they did call me back, and they said, the doctor would like to see you. So I was like, oh goodness, okay, great. But thankfully, I had packed my hospital bag like a few weeks prior. I'm an over preparer. Okay, I like to prepare well in advance. So thankfully I had done that. So I told my husband, I was like, hey babe, like the doctor wants us to come in, so we gotta go. And thankfully we had our bags packed. So we just took our bags and we left, even though I wasn't going there thinking I'm not coming back home. You know, I was like, okay, the doctor wants to see me, let's go. So we went there, they checked my blood pressure again, did the whole routine, yada, yada, yada. And then they finally got me to the labor and delivery department. So then the OB came in, they checked my blood pressure again and again. They hooked me up to the monitors, blah, 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 blah. Drew some blood, urine sample, did all the tests they could do. So I was just laying there, just, you know, chilling and waiting for results. And then the doctor comes in and says, ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you, but it looks like you're gonna have to have your baby today because you have pre-eclampsia. And I'm like, what? I didn't come here to have a baby today. I'm 33 weeks, so the next day I would be 34 weeks. I'm like, I didn't come here to have a baby. I came here to check my blood pressure and then go home and continue with my pregnancy. But I was just like, I'm sorry, ma'am. Like there's no cure for pre-eclampsia. The only way to get rid of it is delivery, to not be pregnant. That's the only way you can get rid of pre-eclampsia. So I was just devastated. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Like, how can this be happening? I didn't come here to have a baby. So then I called my mom, I told her what was going on. And then I guess they prepared me to go into the labor and delivery room and to get induced. So as I was there, I feel like, I guess at this point, I just became a little bit more like anxious. So that probably even contributed to my blood pressure skyrocketing more. So the doctor told me, you know, some of the possibilities that can happen with this condition. So she was like, you know, if it's possible that I could have a seizure, and if it's not taken care of, or if we don't, you know, have the baby right now, things could get really, really bad quickly. So they had to put me on magnesium. Is it magnesium? Yeah, magnesium, so that I don't, you know, seize. And just hearing that word alone, that seizure alone, was like just so scary. I'm like, man, like the whole time I was just like scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was like, oh man, like what's going on? And my blood pressure was still not going down. It was not going down. I think they gave me, I don't know if they gave me some type of blood pressure medication, but honestly, it really didn't do anything. So as labor was progressing, at one point, my blood pressure went up to 200 over like 90 something. Guys, it was the scariest thing ever. Like, I feel like during that, and I shared a lot about, you know, my emotions in my my labor and delivery story, my very first labor and delivery story. I'm probably gonna link it on this video, but I was very, very, very scared. Like, I thought that would be the end of me, and like just, I was very scared. It was a very scary thing. And even after I had the baby, even after they took the baby out, you know, you would think that, oh, the baby's out, okay, boom, like, when can I go back to normal? I ended up having to stay in the hospital for another week because they had to monitor my blood pressure. It wasn't going down. So they put me on like 2 separate blood pressure medications, and it was not working. So then I asked the doctor, I was like, if it's not working, because I used to be a pharmacy tech then, so I know a whole bunch of blood pressure medications that are available. So I was like, okay, if these medications are not working, why aren't you putting me on something else? And then they had to let me know that, well, it's not every medication that they can put me on because of pregnancy, and also because I just had a baby and, you know, breastfeeding and all that stuff. So it could really, really affect me, and, you know, rather than like help me. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. So after a whole week, my blood pressure was still not going down, but, you know, they had to let me go home because they couldn't keep me there forever. So it took about another like 2 weeks before my blood pressure started to go back to normal. I knew it was back to normal at one time when at some point I honestly stopped checking my blood pressure because I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna keep looking at this anymore. So I think that I had taken my medication, a dose of it, before I went to go see my daughter, because she was born at 34 weeks, so she was in NICU. So I took the medication before going to go see her, and I felt horrible. Like, I felt like I was breathing too fast. I felt like I was gonna pass out. And then when I went home, I checked my blood pressure and it was normal. So then I realized that when I had taken that medication, I shouldn't have taken it because my blood pressure had stabilized or had come back to normal. So when I took it, it lowered my blood pressure. And so that was literally my sign to know that, all right, I'm back to normal, you know? So honestly, this experience was very scary for me. So I was very nervous for my second pregnancy because I was like, I mean, what's stopping this thing from happening again, you know? Because there's nothing that you can do right or wrong to cause this. It just happens. And especially within African-American women, it's very, very serious, and it happens a lot more to Black women than it does to white women. And if it does happen to white women, you know, they have let's just say Black women have a higher rate of it being serious than white women do. I think when I researched it, that's what I got. So yeah, it's pretty scary. I know people that have died from it because, you know, they probably didn't know, and then they just like passed out randomly, or even during labor and stuff like that. So it's a very scary thing. When I got to 34 weeks with my second pregnancy, I was very nervous. I was like, you know what? It's either I'm going to keep being nervous and let this thing ruin me, or I'm going to be positive and just pray about it and trust that I will go all the way to 40 weeks. And so I shared also that story in my how I prepared for my VBAC video on here, so you can go watch it. Yeah, so I was nervous with my second that, you know, if I go through the same thing, man, that would be so devastating because I don't want to go through it again. Granted, during labor for my second child, my blood pressure did go up again, but it wasn't it was nothing compared to the first one, so that was good. Now with this third pregnancy, am I nervous? Yes, I am nervous, but I'm still trying to be positive, still praying about it, and still trusting that the Lord will take me all the way to 40 weeks, and even during labor that my blood pressure will stay normal. So yeah, I shared on my Instagram how when I go to my doctor's appointment and the nurse tells me that my blood pressure looks normal, I get really excited because I don't want to go through that again. It's really a great feeling to know that, to hear those words, that it's normal, you know, just because of what I went through and how scared I was. Like, I remember being so scared, and I don't want to go through that again. So I'm really grateful to hear those words all the time, and I'm praying that this will be a great pregnancy, and I'm not going to experience that ever again, and I don't ever wish that on anybody. Yeah, if you do have any specific questions, let me know. I'm definitely sure that I forgot a lot of things, but if you have any specific questions you'd like to know on this topic, just type it in the comment section below and I can answer them for you. Yeah, I hope this was informative, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Make sure to share, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys.